Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce, and I am joined tonight by Mr. Tyler Edmonds. Before we talk anything baseball, my friend, it's been too long since we've been on the microphone together. How you doing, buddy?
It's been like maybe 3 weeks too long. Other than getting kicked in the nuts tonight, Ron. I've been good, man. These last 2 weeks have been, man. I've been busy, man. From going to Chicago to that LA game, I got to witness. That was freaking nuts.
Yeah,
Was in Chicago for a few days. Hell, went to Atlanta for a few days for the. If you're a baseball card guy, Tops. By the way, there's a lot of cool shit coming out, so just be on the lookout. All that kind of stuff. But man, yeah, I've been busy, man. But good, good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Likewise, busy, but been enjoying watching Chicago Cubs baseball aside from tonight. And you know what?
Minus tonight. You're right.
I'll tell you what, though. If you erase that 11th inning, it's a close game. Like, I get it. You know, it blew up and it is what it is, but they were in it. I mean, they forced extras.
You want to avoid being pissed off at the box score? If you just take your finger and scroll over to the 11th inning and you just block that out, and it didn't even happen.
And you're like, wow, this wasn't a bad game.
Block it out, and you're like, oh man, this was a crazy great game. Just block that the 11th inning out.
Just block it out. Block it out, indeed. Tyler, but we're not here to talk about all bad because we weren't live yesterday. Mm-hmm. Cubs got a big win in the series a day ago. So it's not all bad. And it was a convincing win at that. So it's kind of like each team gave a nice little ass whooping to one another. 9-2 victory on Monday, which we all love to see. Yes, the 14-5 loss here on Tuesday is certainly at the forefront of everybody's brain. And I think that's where a lot of people are upset about, naturally. I mean, let's completely be honest, right? It's normal to be that's the thing with these shows. When we're talking about two games, it's like we almost forget they won by 7 runs yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, that was fun. That 6th inning was awesome. You know, and it's such a different, difference because of literally one bad half inning in tonight's game. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights saying yo in the comments section. Scott from Iowa saying Council was managing his ass off. Cubs Twitter was in a dizzy in the 8th and the 9th. Yeah, I mean, they fought back and they won. I mean, the you mentioned it, Tyler, before we even jumped on the mics. The bullpen outside of Ryan Presley was very good tonight. Kept the game manageable, gave them a chance to come back. You got some really clutch hitting from Kyle Tucker and others. Justin Turner in the 9th inning.
Yeah, did not expect that.
Did not expect that either.
Did not expect that.
You know, it was a night of still some good, despite the loss. I think it was Dubs, actually, old friend of the program, who also mentioned that for the season, Justin Verlander still winless because he doesn't have a decision in this game tonight.
So what? I believe he's still 0-2.
0-2. Yeah,
man,
tough.
Hate it for him.
Tough. Hate to see it. Tyler, I guess, Tom kind of says it here perfectly in the comments section. We're all right. We're all right. And I agree. This loss sucks. I think the reason this loss sucks the most, and you and I talked about it, is you used a lot of arms tonight. And you have to play in 15 hours with the 1:20 start tomorrow?
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. 7 bullpen guys.
Yeah. It's a lot of arms to throw. The only 2 arms that didn't throw was Hollowell, who threw on Monday night for 2 innings, and then Julian Merriweather was the only other pitcher that didn't throw in this one. So I would imagine we see those 2 for at least an inning tomorrow, and then some collection of Keller, or maybe not Keller, but I believe we looked at it beforehand. Thielbar, Palencia, Pomeranz, and one other guy all threw less than 15.
You may get an inning or 2 from somebody else, just because you also got it. We've got the off day on Thursday, so maybe depending on the situation,
right,
we do see a Porter Hodge or something. So But yeah, like you
Hodge
said,
only threw 15 pitches, so
yeah.
I think that's completely reasonable. I most of the guys in the pen, probably outside of Ryan Presley, only threw about 13 to 15 pitches.
Yeah.
Probably could see one of them tomorrow, but I'm
For
sure
sure.
if Council can, he
Oh,
will go ahead and use either Julian Merriweather or another guy.
Totally.
Tyler, we talked about this a little bit in the pre-show. Let's get into it. Tom says here his biggest concern is that this hurts PCA's confidence in regarding that 10th inning at bat. But he definitely needed to work on his plate discipline. Though his chasing was working, it's obvious it's not a sustainable thing. I don't know if it's necessarily that from a chasing standpoint, but when you got a guy like Miller in there who very clearly has some nasty stuff on that slider, as soon as he saw that PCA was you know what I thought it was? I didn't think it was PCA was uncomfortable. I think PCA was just trying to play hero.
I agree. I think as far as like what Tominato said here, as far as his confidence, I don't think it hurts his confidence because he's always been a confident guy. I just knew after working up to that moment, after everything going through to that moment, after that first pitch and it's that terrible swing on a ball that looked like it was 2 feet outside, I knew right then. I was like, if I'm Miller here, I'm not throwing him another strike. And I think he threw him a strike on the third strike. On the third strike.
Mm-hmm.
But you saw that at bat, and it was just like, oof. And the one thing at the very least, because I'm not, this loss sucks. 14-5 after it was the closest. What did JD call it? The closest
blowout and
the closest blowout that we've had all year. I just hope he takes this. I hope he takes that moment. I hope somebody pulls him aside, whether it's a Ian Happ or a Kyle Tucker or a Carson Kelly or whoever, and or just maybe he just sits back and thinks on it himself and just uses that moment as a teachable moment for himself. Because man, you've got to. I get it. He's young and everything like that. You could say, he hasn't played. Technically, hasn't really even played a full 162 game season. Blah blah blah. You've got to make contact in that situation. You have to, and he's not the only one. In the ninth inning, people forget it. Thanks to Kyle Tucker, thanks to King Tuck coming through the clutch once again with 2 outs. Before that, Ian Happ struck out with runners on first and third with less than 2 outs. And thankfully, Kyle Tucker saved him there. But I just hope that PCA can take that moment because I don't think this hurts his confidence. I really don't. I just hope that he takes this because he's got. I believe he has 7 walks to 30 plus strikeouts, and that's something. And I get it. He still gets on base and all that, but in those type of situations, you've got to put up a more quality AB, especially against a guy in Miller who gave up a run the inning before. He's pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy who's never recorded a save. He never recorded a save in his career. A guy that's probably also nervous as well in the moment. Looking at from his point of view. And so, I agree, Ron. I think he was just trying to be the hero in that situation and not necessarily his ability, if that makes any sense. I think he just was trying to, like you said, he wanted to be the hero in that moment. And that can be because of his confidence.
Definitely. I mean, PCA is swinging one of the hottest bats in baseball. I mean,
sure.
Entering play today, there were 2 players in Major League Baseball that had at least 9 home runs and I believe it was 10 stolen bases, and it was he and Shohei Ohtani. Like he's having a hell of a season. Like,
for sure.
That's not lost on what happened tonight, right? But I do think especially when you're coming up, if you're PCA, right? Like you're in that 7 hole, and I believe it was Joey mentioned it on our last show of like PCA has been quoted saying he kind of likes that 7 hole because he can kind of hide in the lineup and things like that.
It works for him.
It does work for him. And sometimes, again, it's one thing to be aggressive. I'm all for a baseball player being aggressive. It's just more so, like you said, right? It's the situation. It's, it's okay to take that first pitch because he's probably not going to throw you a strike because of how hot you've been. And I think it's a learning experience. And Tom says it, really well with one of his follow-up comments here. He says, yeah, I think PCI will be fine. He said it's a big flashback to last year when he called off Nico and tried to make that sliding catch, which gave up 2 runs against the Cardinals. He said he's been a lot better in the outfield since. So PCA in agreement is, that type of player that learns. He's, and again, this is a part of a young player developing on a team that is contending. Like, Cubs fans aren't used to this since the run of the golden era teams, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things where you go, yeah, there's some learning to do still. There's some more development for him to do still, and certainly they'll have to figure some things out there. A couple of more noteworthy comments here, Tyler, that kind of set up our discussion, I think, perfectly from some of the topics here tonight. Stole it, Breezing, saying, brutal watch tonight, follows that up saying, Presley, epic bad outing. The 8 up, no outs. He said he was serving up more meatballs than Chef Boyardee. And a friend of the program and Locked On Cubs co-host, Mr. Sam Olber, mentioned on X something about maybe an IL stint just because of how bad Presley looked. Maybe there is an injury there. But you had an incredible reply to that, Tyler. And, in addition to that reply, because you have to share it, it was good. I think it's very applicable. Do you agree? Do you think Presley looked hurt, or is it just he had a bad outing and you got to shake it off?
Dude, from the way it looked, either an IL stint or he is tipping pitches so bad. It's like when Big Brother, I shared it earlier. It's like when Big Brother's playing Little Brother in MLB The Show, and Big Brother is just beating the crap out of Little Brother because he's over there watching like on his controller every single pitch he's selecting, and Little Brother has no idea and proceeds to just get spanked and then ends up crying. And you know how it goes if you've ever been in that situation. But that's exactly what that was like. So yeah, maybe there is an IL stint to come. I do know that what we said in the pre-show, as far as the only positive that Ryan Presley gave us tonight, was he reminded the front office that they need another swing and miss arm. They need a guy that can blow it by people. And the Giants, like we were saying, the Giants showed exactly that. When you have in your 7th inning a Camilo Duvall come in and just a guy that hovers around 100 miles an hour with that nasty cutter in the 7th inning, a guy that guy would be a closer on most teams, a guy that was a former all-star pitcher. And yet you've got that coming in your 7th inning. And then obviously you've got Rogers, who barely hits 65 miles an hour, but with that funky angle. And then you turn around with Ryan Walker. I know his ERA is kind of high, but he's another guy that he can strike out guys. He can blow it by you as well. You've got to have that. You've got to have that. And I get it. I know the bullpen's been great as of late, but you still got to have that, especially against teams like the Giants, who they're no slouch. They're no slouch, especially in a division where you've got the Padres, the Dodgers, the D-backs. They're going to be there all year long. So, yeah, if one thing at least Presley showed tonight was they're missing that.
On the topic of with arms, Tom asks John Birdie for Mason Miller, who says no.
Yes, let's do it. Give me Mason Miller and throw in you know what? They should also give something else too, like another starter or something, just for, just in case.
Yeah,
Birdie's fast. Birdie can run fast. So, it sounds fair.
Indeed. Stole it, Breezing with a comment here. Presley should have been on IL. He said 3 appearances since his knee was drained. 15 days or so. Shut him down. Bring him back.
When was minus tonight? When was his last outing? Because it feels like he's been a ghost recently.
He pitched in that Phillies series. No, sorry. Did he pitch in the Milwaukee series? I don't know if he did.
I don't think he did either. Because I think people were talking about in the 9-2 game last night, people were talking about why not use Presley because he hadn't thrown in a while.
His last
May
game
1st.
was May 1st. Yeah, Pittsburgh. Wow. So he hadn't thrown in 5 days.
5 days.
I mean, it's a nice problem to have when you don't need to use your closer for 5 days, but
Boy.
we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait
Yeah.
and see what happens there. And Jay was all over it May 1st. So thank you, Jay. I'm curious to see what happens with Presley, but there's obviously other things that are really interesting on the roster right now, Tyler. And one of those is third base.
Yeah.
And I know Scott from Iowa
that is
all over it. Says Matt Shaw needs to be on a plane
points on X,
to Chicago tonight. He says the Cubs have committed 8 errors at third base. Matt Shaw has looked a lot better since returning to Iowa. I believe he's got like a north of 900 OPS plus, or OPS, pardon me, and just has been hitting the shit out of the ball. He had a go-ahead hit today, I believe, for the Iowa Cubs. A lot of good stuff coming from Matt Shaw. So really, I think right now the question becomes, when do we see Matt Shaw? Because I agree with Stola Breezing here. I really do. I think Nicky Lopez should get the bulk of the starts at third right now because he's been their best defensive third baseman, and he's actually put together some good ABs. My kind of little bit of a hot take with Joey on Sunday's show was that even once Shaw returns, I could see a world where Vidal Brujan or John Birdie are the DFA candidate and Nicky Lopez remains on the roster because he's been solid at very minimum. And sometimes that's all you need, especially with a guy who can play multiple positions like Lopez can.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to call it Matt Shaw, I wouldn't hate the Nicky Lopez idea. I trust Matt Shaw's glove. And it's easy to say this now because you know what happened these last several games as far as they've had several blowouts. Who's to say in some of these blowout games that Matt Shaw, because as we noticed while Matt Shaw was up here, that there was moments where he was trying to hit the 6-run home run. You know what I mean? He was trying to, kind of like PCA tonight. He was trying too much. It looked like at certain times. And who's to say that maybe had he stayed up, especially in these games as of late when they just have absolutely spanked their opponents, who's to say that he doesn't get a couple of hits, a couple of home runs here and there and gets his confidence up and everything like that? And I get it. Oh, well, that's easy to say now, Tyler, because, the game's over. I'm just saying, because, I think as far as all your options defensively, I think I'd still take Matt Shaw defensively. But like you said, I agree. Nicky Lopez he's had the best ABs as far as the candidates that they have right now. But I wouldn't hate a Matt Shaw return. I mean, look at PCA. It took him a minute, and look at PCA now.
Oh yeah. No, there's definitely something to be said about, going back to the minors, getting some games in, just seeing what it can do for your confidence, all that good stuff. And, Shaw's numbers have come back down to earth a little bit. So confirming his numbers right now, he's getting on base at an incredible clip. He's got a 400 OBP right now down in Iowa. Now, granted, this is only over 14 games. So take that with, whatever grain of salt that is. 264 batting average. The slug is a little down, which I'm not personally super concerned about. I don't need Matt Shaw to be a slugger. Not on this Cubs iteration of the Cubs.
No.
A 777 OPS is still very good. And so he's putting together good stuff. He's walking at a good clip. He's got 11 walks compared to just 7 strikeouts. He's only stolen 2 bags, but neither here nor there. Home run, he has 5 ribbies, 3 doubles, 14 total hits across those 14 games. So he's still getting it done. I think it's just the Cubs want to see him get comfortable, like fully comfortable. And I think that's a big reason why we saw how aggressive they were at third base with dismissing Gage Workman, bringing Nicky Lopez back on a major league deal. We've seen him, especially a lot recently, I feel like, more at third. And he has put together some really good ABs, and he's made some nice defensive plays there. So, again, maybe that's the temporary Band-Aid that helps the Cubs get by. I fully expect Matt Shaw to be back at some point this season. It's just a matter of if and not, or pardon me, it's when and not if.
For sure, yeah.
At this point.
Is it crazy to think that they've used 5 different players at third base so far this year?
I think it's more than that.
Shaw,
Turner,
Birdie,
Brujan.
Did Turner play third?
I think one game at
okay. So 6.
It's 6 guys because
Wow.
Workman, Brujan, Birdie, Lopez, Shaw, and Turner.
I will say, do you think with the other, and I get it, it's still just May, but by the time we get to June, do you think, other than what it looks like so far as the needs of this team come June and July near the trade deadline, I don't think finding a third baseman is going to be, I don't know if that's going to be one of their top priorities. I really don't, because of their other 2 obvious needs, I think.
I completely agree. I think
I don't think, and plus, there's not many options out there. Like, yeah, I joked a while back about, oh man, it'd be cool if the Cardinals traded Nolan Arenado to that. That's not going to happen. There's not really, as far as a third base option on a team that's going to be willing to get rid of that third baseman. There's not many options out there anyways.
No, there's really not. I completely agree. I think too, again, I think the Cubs feel okay enough with knowing that Shaw is going to be back at some point, and the conglomerate that is John Birdie and Nicky Lopez at third right now is enough to get them by. I'm not saying it's the perfect solution or the right solution, but I think that's where they're thinking when it's all said and done, because to your point, Tyler, the bullpen is certainly going to be something they want to add to. Now, granted, the bullpen could settle in. I will make that caveat of this. There's a chance that Tyson Miller returns from this rehab assignment he's on right now and continues pitching as well as he has pitched in Iowa during said rehab stint, which would be great. And then maybe there's a couple other guys who are still kind of working their way through Iowa where maybe they get a call back to the majors at some point, or just a call up in general if they haven't been up already, and settle in a little bit, right? We saw last year how they get Tyson Miller from the Mariners off of waivers, and that panned out beautifully. They signed Jorge Lopez to a minor league deal after he was let go. That worked out beautifully as well. Yeah, Tyson Miller due back by 5/7. Yeah. That's tomorrow. So
I still think they're gonna. I would hope, and who knows? We'll see what happens. I would hope that at least they need one guy, like just guy, whether that's a I know it's going to be talked about a lot come June. A Ron Helsley from St. Louis, a Duran from Minnesota, whoever else. I know everyone's, Mason Miller. I don't think Mason Miller's going anywhere this year. I really don't think he's going anywhere this year. But
I don't think so either.
I wish they would at least consider one guy, because other than Porter, like who's closing? I mean, I'm sure Porter Hodge is going to get the first shot at it, as far as, because now that's the next question now, because it's obvious that Presley's not getting the next save opportunity. He's not. So let's say Friday. We won't say tomorrow because of the whole thing, but let's just say Friday in New York. You've got a save situation in the bottom of the ninth. Who's taking the ball in the bottom of the ninth right now?
Porter Hodge, in my opinion. Hodge. Yeah.
And then, but
and then maybe I'm gonna throw you a metaphorical curveball, Tyler.
Throw it.
Would you feel comfortable with Drew Pomeranz pitching in the ninth?
A guy that's has he really even closed games before?
I don't think so.
I know he's never been a closer. I mean, I'm sure he has a save or two in his career. I mean, I guess in that situation, if it was a one of those situational type things where you have 2 lefties coming up.
Okay. Because Stolip Breezing saying here he thinks Keller, if not Hodge, because Keller has pitched magnificently, especially recently. And then Tom also noting that Palencia has been looking great
and
too.
Those guys have looked great. It's just those guys between Keller and Palencia are great in their roles. And I don't know if it would even be worth it to those. Like if it'd be these guys are doing great in the 7th, 8th, but let's throw them in the 9th. When, as we all know, those last 3 outs are just completely different. They are. I don't know. I mean, it's something you don't want to continuously be dancing around with for the next. It's something that you don't want them dancing around with, especially in the middle of the summer. And that's the reason, they lose a couple games here and there. So hopefully they figure something out soon. And hopefully, I know tonight it was nice to see the offense bounce back. Hopefully, until some of these guys, especially the starters, could come back, Shota and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully this offense can keep it all afloat.
I agree wholeheartedly. Tyler, a couple more just quick comments here. Stolet saying, yeah, Palencia or Keller, probably Keller with better control. Hank makes the joke, what shaky reliever are the Cubs going to get next year from Houston? Tom says, honestly, this might have been Craig's best managed game all year. Crazy how people are blaming him for this. Yeah. Scott, time to flush that last inning on to Wednesday. He says he's looking forward to Ben Brown going 6 and giving up nothing.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
That would be awesome. And Mr. Nance here says, what's the latest on Assad and where does he factor in here? Well, he was, I believe, transferred to the 60 day, if I remember correctly. Now, granted,
was he really?
I'm about 99% certain that Javier Assad is on the 60 day.
That flew under the radar. Wow.
I will confirm that right now, but I am about 100%. I'm probably about 95% certain that he's on the.
Holy crap. I did not know that. Holy crap, man. That's
40 minutes. Javier Assad, 60-day IL.
Damn, now, granted, was that an abdominal? Was that an abdominal issue? Oblique issue?
Oblique. Yeah. And obliques are nasty. So here you go. I got the stretch for you. So Javier Assad was placed on the 15-day injured list as of March 17th because of the earlier part.
That was yeah.
So he's been on the IL since that point.
Yeah.
The 15th, he was sent on a rehab assignment, and then he re-aggravated it, and then they placed him on the 60-day. So because he's been on the IL since the 17th, his 60-day window is from the 17th. Now, granted, I don't think he's going to be ready by May 17th.
Yeah, because whenever they get off that, it's going to take him a month to get back.
100%. And like Tom says here, obliques suck. I agree with Stolet. I think he's out probably until closer to the
end of summer. Yeah.
Yeah. They cannot rely on Javier Assad right now. And it's not because he's not a good baseball player. It's just because obliques are nothing to mess with in baseball.
Because especially with him, everything's rotational. And that's it. Yeah, it's your obliques.
Yeah. I was going to say, baseball is literally a rotational sport. If anything in your back or your core gets screwed up, you're out for a while, right? So, as Scott says here, it's a grade 2 strain to the obliques. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. But Tyler, the one topic I wanted to bring up to you as well, I know there's been some Justin Turner chatter in our comments. There's been some other things, but Stolet Breezing noted this a little bit ago, and I think it flew under the radar in the grand sense of Tuesday's game. Again, I'm still vibing off of Monday's win because we got to appreciate what Monday's win was, despite what happened tonight.
Hey, real quick about Monday. I know we kind of flew past it real quick. Shout out to Matthew Boyd to continuing to prove me wrong. Juice, if you're listening right now, you was right. You was right about Matthew Boyd. You was right about Corbin Burns. Jeez. If you haven't seen what he's been doing lately, I'm pretty sure he just got on the 15-day IL. But Matthew Boyd has been he's been fantastic. And last night was just another reminder of that.
1,000%. He's been really, really good. And again, I think ever since he changed his arm slot a little bit and has really
you guys talked about that as soon as they signed him. That's all y'all were saying. I'm just like, oh, okay, we'll see. And
the change of the arm slot, and because of that arm slot change, it made his breaking stuff more effective because his breaking stuff actually broke differently. Because at one point in his career, his curveball and his slider effectively looked like the same pitch. Now they look like the same pitch, but one breaks a lot harder, and that has generated a lot more swing and miss for him. I completely agree. He's been absolutely fantastic. But Stola Breezing, while we're on the topic of pitching, brought this up a little bit earlier. Says, did the Cubs tip their hand by bringing in Chris Flexen in the 9th? Is Cade Horton coming up this weekend? So the Cubs can still make a move come the Met series. They don't have to send Hollowell back, tomorrow, hypothetically speaking. They can wait until really Saturday. I mean, you could pitch Hollowell on Friday and then send him back to Iowa. They don't have to make a move until Shota's spot in the rotation comes up. My tinfoil hat take is, would they, with the off day, potentially just keep pitching guys on 5 days because everybody's still? Do you skip Shota's spot in the rotation and just keep the extra bullpen arm?
I could see that just for right now, especially. Do you have Cade come up and play against a Mets team that is 13-3 at home?
Yeah, they're 13-3 at home, but they haven't played anybody above 500.
They haven't, but I could see where you're coming from as far as just technically, quote unquote, skipping his spot because of the off day and maybe saving him for next week. I guess would the next start be at home?
If my math
against the White Sox,
yeah, it probably wouldn't be until that Friday against the Sox. If he were to throw,
or does it depend on? Does part of it kind of revolve around how long Ben Brown goes tomorrow? Maybe. If he gives us that, you were wanting 7 innings from Ben Brown would be freaking awesome.
I would be elated with 7 innings from.
But
Ben
even
Brown.
6 innings, he's only thrown 6. Has he thrown 6 innings? He's thrown 6 innings against the Brewers, right?
Yes.
And that was his longest start. That was his longest outing of the season so far this year, correct?
I believe so.
Who knows? Maybe it all revolves around whether or not, because if Ben Brown throws, let's just say he throws 6+ innings, then you're probably not going to throw Chris Flexen. And then you can use Chris Flexen. You could start Chris Flexen, right?
I mean, with him only pitching 1 inning, you probably could start Flexen if you really wanted to. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to burst people's bubble here because I know everybody wants to see
I mean, because I'd love to see Cade Horton pitch for sure.
But everything in my blood tells me the Cubs are going to find a way to not call Cade Horton up.
I will say, though, I think we do. Oh, because of the my mind's gone blank. Because of the whole service time stuff.
No, I don't even think it's a service time thing. I think it's just because he lost all of 2024 from a development standpoint.
Sure, yeah.
Like, he's just now throwing 6 innings, and that's only when he's hyper efficient. He hasn't. Yeah. I don't think he's thrown more than 85 pitches this year.
And then you could almost argue. You could almost look at it as almost like even in a Matt Shaw situation when we were talking about Matt Shaw earlier, coming up, he's young, wanting to be that guy, wanting to be the hero, wanting to, hit the 6-run home run. And now you're asking Cade Horton to basically come up and fill the shoes of a guy that was a Rookie of the Year finalist, a guy that, to fill the rotation, to fill the shoes of a rotation that lost Justin Steele for the year. And then would be a lot. Now, I'm not saying that we don't see Cade Horton. I think we do because.
Agreed.
Because, I mean, okay, let's take Cade Horton out of the picture. Who would be who other than Cade Horton? Jordan Wicks is out for a while, right? He's out for this. Is he out for the season?
I don't think so.
He's on the IL right now, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I feel like for some reason I saw somewhere where Jordan Wicks is on the IL. Your options, I will say at the very least, your options are really slim right now, which you hate to see that.
Yeah. No, that I agree with. And again, I don't know. There's a lot that can be made of Like, what if he gets hurt? Like, I
Yeah.
hate to be that guy. Wicks is
Jay
not
Wick's
on
not on a okay. Well, he's your other option.
it. You
Maybe
know,
is he the guy they call up before Cade Horton, you think? I heck, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know either. I just, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. Scott says here, Eli Morgan to the 60-day, you can call up Horton that way. Stolitz says no difference to me, Queens or Marlins. He still needs to make pitches. This was a little bit about Boyd earlier. Boyd's such a good sign. Glad he's a Cub. Also does love Chicago. That is very true. It's pretty cool to see. Another comment here about Mr. Boyd. A quick question from Tom a little bit earlier that I just want to quickly answer. If Matt Shaw is being immediately called up, would it be for tomorrow or Saturday for the off day? Probably after the off day. I doubt he's going to be coming up tomorrow with the early turnaround. They probably would make the roster move on Friday, and he would show up in New York, more or less, to join the Cubs. I think is pretty much how that would work at this point. Hank has a question for me. He says, Ron, do you want Horton to stay in AAA all year? So this is a double-edged sword to me, because I want him to get the development that he needs, because I don't want another Mark Pryor situation.
Oh God, yeah.
I don't want it.
You're right. You're right. Because
if Cade Horton pitched all of last year, I would be banging this desk that I'm sitting at right now for him to be the guy they call up right now, because we're getting close to that, break glass if emergency situation where I think Horton is the guy that comes up. He's pitched 88 innings as his career high in the minor leagues. 88 innings. He's going to blow past 88 innings if he comes up to the big leagues as a starter. And personally, I have no problem if he comes up this year. I would just prefer it be out of the bullpen. Because A, I think he's more of a weapon out of the bullpen. And B, look at how many starting pitchers were first called up as bullpen arms. Chris Sale was that way. He was the White Sox closer before he became a starter. Garrett Crochet was that way. Like, there's a lot of guys that end up doing that. So I'm not like, oh, he has to stay in AAA. I just want him to get the development he needs, because the last thing I want to see them do is just absolutely piss away, his health. And still it asks here, he says, what does Horton have left to prove in AAA? Seems like they're wasting bullets given the circumstances. Cubs have a short leash with poor performance this year. Sure. But he hasn't pitched a lot of physical pitches in games either. What happens if you bring him up and you're in a tight game and he's dealing and you go, Cade, we know you haven't done it all year, but you're throwing 100 pitches when you're normally used to throwing like 70. And then all of a sudden we get the fucking report before the next series that says Cade Horton is going to the IL with an arm strain. Do we want that? I don't.
Or even if you're gonna call him up as a starter, it would almost make more sense later in the year, because if you do one, and I don't mean this in a bad way, he's going to be coddled a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
100%.
And I don't want to sound
the fire right now.
And I get it as far as what Breezing here is saying about wasting bullets and stuff like that.
As
but
do I.
It's such a tough call, because especially now, if you call him up now, let's just say he's pitching throughout the year. One, it's because they're struggling to find enough starters to fill the rotation. And yeah, I agree. I just don't know if that would be a wise decision right now. Maybe, who knows what they do. Maybe they find some guy off waivers, I don't know, something just to fill enough starts until Shota comes back, and then hopefully things get turned around.
And they've got a guy on the roster right now that can fill starts. His name's Chris Flexen.
Yeah.
He had a 1.16 ERA in Iowa as a starting pitcher. And this guy has also had multiple seasons of 30-plus starts at the major league level.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, knowing Craig Counsell, that's the guy that they put in there. And they say, you give us a chance to go 6 every day. Because here's the other thing with Horton. And again, I'm not poo-pooing on the kid. I'm just calling it how I see it. What happens if he gets beat up a little bit or the command's not there that day and he only can pitch 4 innings because of his pitch count? You're going to go and burn through a bullpen that's already suspect? I'd rather you give me the guy who's going to just put weak grounders in play.
Because you've already got it. You've got a guy pitching tomorrow that is very capable of doing what you just said as far as throwing 4 innings. We've seen it time and time again with Ben Brown. Third, fourth inning, you're hovering around 80 pitches already, and then you're going to get another guy in there in a potential Cade Horton that you just can't have that right now. And Flexen, Cade Horton may turn out to be a better pitcher than Chris Flexen. But just right now, Chris Flexen has proven, like you said, Ron, to put up the innings. And that's what you need right now.
And Tom's saying here he disagrees. Cade should get a few starts. Shota might be out for like 3 weeks. There's an opportunity if Cade wants to get a start or 2, it can happen. But I don't know. I don't feel like it needs to happen right now. I'm looking at his numbers here. Cade Horton, in his minor league career, which has spanned 2+ seasons now, has made 36 starts. So just over a season worth of baseball. And has only pitched 150 innings. Last season, he pitched 34 innings before he was shut down for the year. I don't know. I'm not suspect because he's, Scott says Horton's in the same exact situation that Strasburg was. Stolitz says they're going to get a Ray God mode all year. They need Cade with both aces down. I don't know.
And who knows? They may make us look stupid and we wake up tomorrow.
I hope they do. Again, if there's one thing about Cubs on Tap, folks, that people need to realize, I love being wrong when I'm negative. Love it. I love being wrong because that means shit went right. But I've just seen enough bad things happen in my lifetime when it comes to the sport of baseball that I'm not going to sit here and pretend that something bad can't happen.
Just ask the guy who's, let's see here, would this be I believe the 27th anniversary today in Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game?
Yeah.
Just ask that guy. Because he'll even say he was not the same after, and that's the total, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
History has shown, especially with this team, with pitchers, that,
It scares me. It scares me. Scott says here, worst case scenario, Horton comes up and is as good as Skeens. The playoff run starts and the Cubs overpitch him. Yeah, and then you lose a starter forever.
I still think they're going to go after a starter by the trade.
They're 100%.
I just think it's way too early right now, especially with this offense. And I hate to say this, I even hate to use this as another reason I hate it, but in this division, this weak ass division, it's way too early to be, trading for like a big arm. But I still do think they should anyways go after a big arm.
I agree.
But I don't think we see that until like June, July.
It's going to be a while. It's going to be a while.
For sure.
Again, I am fine if Horton is going to start, if they have somebody like a Chris Flexen ready who can go long. God forbid you need to pull him.
For sure.
Like there needs to be. Again, I agree with you, Tyler. I think you put it perfectly. He needs to be babied. You need to treat him like a delicate little egg because he hasn't shown to be anything other than that so far. He was hurt coming out of college. He got hurt last year and missed all but 9 starts of the season. Like, think about this. He just made his sixth start, I think, in the minors this year. He made 9 all of last year. So, like, we are approaching the time where he got shut down for the year.
Yeah.
I don't know. It scares me. Hank says here, both Wood and Pryor got Dusty Baker, and he thinks Council's way smarter than that. I agree, but it just Pitchers are pitchers are pitch.
Which
Hold on.
just on a,
Hold on. What do I need to bring up, Tyler? I got to bring it up. I got to bring it.
there you go.
A prospect
Which
is a
one?
prospect until they're no
Hank
longer.
brings up if you're ever bored and want to go, just do a little diving onto Baseball Reference, go back and look at Pryor's 2003 season. It's hilarious. Go to his game logs from 2003, and some of his pitch counts
We're like 140.
in the 140s. It's
Mhm.
freaking crazy. But yeah, if you ever want to go
I
back
agree.
and just like, you want to have a good, just what the heck, go look up Mark Pryor's 2003 game logs. It's crazy.
Tom with a final comment here. He says, I think we're fine either way. I don't think whether or not Cade comes up for a couple weeks will severely damage his development. I just want the guy to I'm tired of this Cubs team not being able to develop pitchers. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. I'm really sick of it. Outside of Justin Steele, what do we have to show for? When was the last time a homegrown talent? And not to take a shot at Justin, but like Justin wasn't like the top pitching prospect in the minors. How many times have we seen these
relief
guys?
pitcher for a while?
What's up?
I said he was a relief pitcher for a minute, wasn't he?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Scott's right here. Zambrano.
Big Z. Yeah.
So we're talking about the mid 2000s. Hodge is a reliever. That's fine.
Yeah.
Relievers are a lot different in terms of development than starters. I just want them to get it right. And I just don't want them to fuck it up. That's really what it is.
Sure.
I again, if I'm wrong and he comes up and he's great, cool. I'll happily eat crow and be wrong.
But either way, like Tamanadu says, and I agree, I think we're fine either way. The fact that we're maybe most Cubs fans maybe a little overreacting right now, just because you see a couple of the injuries, especially to some of the prominent players. You get a crappy loss like tonight. It's easy to panic for just a second, but I think we're going to be fine, especially with this offense. If this offense for the next couple of weeks can just continue to, and I get it, it's baseball, you're going to have your ups and downs and all that kind of stuff. But if they can just continue to even come close to what they've been producing, I think that's going to be enough.
I completely agree.
For now,
I think Stolitz says it right here. He says Cubs get the Fish, the Sox, and the Rockies at the right time. You get a lot of teams that are very beatable here in the near future. The Mets are probably the toughest team you're going to play for the rest of the month.
Let's not look past them.
No,
but,
God, no.
But yes, the schedule statistically is a little lighter, just around the corner. So
they just got to keep taking care of business. And again, I think even with tonight's loss, you as a team overcame a 3-run deficit to push the game to extras.
They did. That was nice to see.
It was. I agree. They'll be just fine. I think that's at the end of the day what we're trying to say here. Tyler, I've got nothing else outside of us looking ahead to tomorrow's rubber match game. So I will ask you, my friend, any final thoughts about these first 2 games for the Giants, or just because it's been a while for you on the mic? Anything else?
Only as far as just these last couple games, other than I did mention Matthew Boyd. And y'all probably already talked about it. It's good to see Dansby Swanson hitting again. That dude has raised his batting average. I think up to I think it's gone up 80 points in the past week or so, maybe 60 points, something like that. But yeah, you love to see that. A guy that has been notorious for starting off slow, you move him in the 8th spot, and voila, it's worked so far. So love to see it. And another multi night.
Yeah, another multi-hit game on Tuesday. 2 hits for Swanson, 2 runs scored as well. Hitting a little higher in the lineup on Tuesday here today, hitting 7th. So again, they're kind of like notching him back up the lineup just a smidge. But yeah, Tyler, he was hitting a $180 before the demotion, 240 now with a 732 OPS. I mean, he has raised everything by at least 60 points, just multi-hit games.
And had a freaking tonight, I want to say.
Almost had the game-winning hit.
He hit a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I mentioned it earlier. He hit a bullet to the one guy on planet Earth that
that's
could
going to
probably
catch that.
catch a bullet in
Yeah.
Matt Chapman.
Yeah.
But I thought that, the second it made contact, I thought that was game. I thought it was going down the line. No, I forgot. Oh, wait a minute. It's Matt Chapman. He just hit it too.
Yeah. If that ball, I was going to say, if that ball is another 6-7 feet to the left and it's down the line, it's game over.
We go back 10 years ago, and Pablo Sandoval's fat ass is playing third base. No, ain't getting caught.
Not a damn chance.
He's just watching it go by. So,
No, fair enough.
Shout out, Big Panda.
Shout out. I attended a Braves Giants game back in 20. Oh boy, I'm dating myself. 2010, maybe 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Gonzalez was still the closer of the Atlanta Braves, if you remember him,
Oh,
the lefty. Yeah.
Wow.
At old Turner 2. And they played the Giants. And I remember, I think Pablo Sandoval had a home run that day for the Giants. Yeah. Crazy stuff. Good deals. Good deals. Tyler, let's quickly look ahead to tomorrow. It is the rubber match between the Giants and the Cubs. We've mentioned Ben Brown's name quite a bit. He is the hurler for the Cubbies. Tomorrow, he will be on the bump against lefty Robbie Ray, who's had a really good start to the year. He's 4-0 with a 3.05 ERA to start the campaign. A quick turnaround. I mean, we are down to 14 hours until this ball game, Tyler. What do the Cubs need to do to take care of the rubber match, enjoy an off day, and get their asses to New York for a 3-game set with the Mets over the weekend?
It's like we said earlier when we were talking about this whole pitching thing. Ben Brown has got to give us innings tomorrow. I'm not worried about the offense, and especially even with a guy like Robbie Ray, former Cy Young winner, guy that can strike out. He can put up a 10 strikeout game on a certain occasion, but Ben Brown, you've got to give us 6+ tomorrow. And I'm confident that this offense can keep doing what it's doing. And if that happens, then Ben Brown goes 6 tomorrow. If Ben Brown goes 6 tomorrow, I don't see why they would not win this game. So give us 6, and I think we'll be all right.
I agree wholeheartedly. The weather's going to be nice tomorrow as well in Chicago. I don't think the wind is going to be a huge factor. I'm not going to say the wind's going to be blowing out by any means, but likely a cool breeze to probably the left field foul pole is my guess. So if that's the case, it's hitter conditions. I agree with you. I'm not too worried about that.
And I need my dinger pick to hit tomorrow. It's time for another one of my dinger picks. I'm tired of Bobby and Rich and everybody getting all theirs right and not mine. So I need a dinger pick hit tomorrow, and we'll definitely win. So that's another factor.
Juice has 4 points. Joey has 7. Nick has 8. You have 6. Bobby has 7. Rich has 8. I have 2. So I need.
Nick. How many does Nick have?
8.
Okay. Do we have anybody with 9?
Nope.
Oh, so it's Nick and Rich.
Nick and Rich with 8 so far are the leaders,
and
then Bobby and Joey. Bobby and Joey are tied for second with 7. You're in third, or I guess technically
Bobby
fifth.
with the Amaya tonight, right? Yeah. And then Bobby, I want to say he got one of the random Kelly ones too. Yeah, he just. I think he's leading on some of the random ones for sure. The ones that
Rich has hit a couple of random ones too. I think Rich was the one that hit the recent Kelly one. So, that'll be fun to start tomorrow. Scott says here the Giants don't have any fresh arms in the pen, have to jump on the starter early. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Sure. He says double picking Tucker seems to be becoming the norm when it comes to those. Getting runs early is key. Let Brown settle in. Totally agree. And Tom says, "Good night, lads. Let's win the series tomorrow."
Thanks for joining.
I agree.
Tom.
I'm looking forward to some early baseball. Hopefully it's a Cubs victory, another series win potentially, and then they're off to New York to see the Mets. The plan is Cubs on Tap will have a show this Thursday on the off day. That's the plan. So be on the lookout for any changes to that. We will not, I repeat, will not have a show on Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I won't be on Thursday's show regardless. So this is my last show for the week. So I wish all the moms out there a happy Mother's Day. Yes. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I will actually be not even in the Chicagoland area. I will actually be down in the ATL down in Atlanta for
really.
Yes.
Oh wow.
I'll be down in Atlanta over the weekend. So I leave on Thursday.
I will be at Red River Gorge over in the eastern part of Kentucky in the middle of nowhere with the dogs and the wife.
The dogs and the wife.
Maybe a couple.
Nance,
Who knows?
Mr. Nance asked this a little bit earlier. He says, off topic because
Well,
I'm
yeah,
new here.
I am a
Tyler does the
Kentucky guy. That's
270
right.
being your Kentucky guy. Yeah,
That's
so.
it. Yeah. If you didn't know in my accent. Yeah.
In your southern
accent. My God.
It's a good deal. It's a good deal. Tomorrow's game's a 1:20 pitch. Hope everybody enjoys the game. Hopefully the Cubs get a victory. Again, the plan is to see you guys on Thursday, no show Sunday, and then we will regroup with everybody come Tuesday of next week, which will be fun because they play the Fish at Wrigley. I will be in attendance for Wednesday's game. I'm very excited about that.
Right on.
I'm going to do my damnedest to meet up with friend of the program, Mr. Jack McMullen, as well before the game. So,
all right.
New radio voice for the Marlins this year, after being a long time play-by-play guy for the Indianapolis Indians. Tyler, as always, want to remind everybody, Cubs on Tap, 1 or 2 shows here at the On Tap Sports Network covering your Chicago Cubs. Our friends over at the Dingers podcast were live yesterday. You can check that episode out over at the On Tap Sports YouTube page or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Be sure to show them some love at Dinger Cubs on the socials. Be sure to follow us as well at Cubbies on Tap. I am at Loose on Tap, Teddy Freddy 270 for Mr. Tyler over here. As always, follow the whole clan. If you listen to this in podcast form, all of the usernames are always listed in the description, so you can follow everybody there. If not, head over to the Cubs on Tap X page. You can find all of that there as well if you're watching along with us live. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button. You guys know the drill. Do the whole good thing. Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks, as always. Cubs fans, you got friends that like the White Sox. So do we. Send them to our friends. They can be friends at Sox on Tap. Chase Meadroth took a routine pop-up off the dome ski tonight. And I believe they blew what would have been a win against Kansas City Royals in the 9th inning because of that. So Sox are going to Sox, and we're going to still encourage your friends to join our friends over there. OnTapSportsNet.com and at OnTapSportsNet on the socials, the OnTap Sports Network. Go to check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Tyler, it's always a pleasure, my friend. It's been good to get back on the microphone with you. Despite the Cubs' loss tonight, still a lot of good things in this Giants series, and hopefully they can get a series win with the rubber match early tomorrow. And, well, if you're listening to this tomorrow morning, on Wednesday morning, against the Giants. Tyler, what do you say? We got to hear the only way we know how it comes on tap?
Yes. If you know, because there's a lot of on tap personalities that listen to our show. I've got a bone to pick with most of you. It is a lot easier to eat a hot wing while driving than a blizzard. But one thing that we all could probably agree on, I think, at the very least, is F the Cardinals.
I am on that train of the eating the blizzard over the hot wing personally, but hey, let's go Cubbies, Tyler.
I know.